Thanks a lot, Fox. You're the greatest.
I keep accidentally writing Silver Surger in this script, and it's driving me crazy. 2 years later, in 2007, 20th Century Fox released a follow-up that adapts one of the Fantastic Four's biggest storylines, the 3-part epic saga of Silver Surfer and the mighty Galactus, and his costume that changes colors every few pages. This is one of those seminal storylines that had a massive impact on the FF and the Marvel Universe as a whole going forward, and it's Lee and Kirby at their peak as a creative duo. Across Fantastic Four issues 48 through 50, Kirby's art design is so complex and beautifully rendered, and Lee's grandiose theatrical dialogue elevates the stakes to epic proportions. They were on fire with these 3 issues, so I consider it a pretty huge undertaking to try and turn it into a movie. But I also think it makes the most sense because it's just some of the best of that early era of the characters. And perhaps controversially, I think they did a solid job with everything. Except for Galactus. I mean, we've been shitting on this for 18 years. You all know the deal. A comic book movie was afraid to come off too silly, fantastical, or campy, so they took a really cool sci-fi character and turned him into a storm cloud, because that's easier to take seriously, apparently. Galactus is a spacefaring, trillion-year-old giant that sustains himself by consuming energy harvested from entire planets. He represents an interesting moral dilemma in that he's not good or evil. He's presented as just another type of life form that feeds on smaller, less intelligent life forms to live, and even compares his own cycle to human beings feeding on cattle. He's not a bad guy for eating planets, that's how his biology works, and he's just another living thing in the ecosystem of space trying to survive. But that has massive consequences for intelligent species that live on the worlds he's consuming, which he considers kind of like dust mites that aren't really worthy of his time or attention. The Silver Surfer is another alien being who serves as Galactus' scout, who basically flies ahead, marks planets that he can safely feed on, and prepares them for his arrival. He works for Galactus in exchange for his own homeworld being spared from being harvested. But over the eons he's worked for Galactus, he's had this immense power gifted to him, and he's lost his emotions and just been working on autopilot without really considering the species they kill along the way. It isn't until they arrive on Earth and meet Ben Grimm's girlfriend Alicia Masters that the Surfer starts to awaken from his trance and break free of Galactus' influence. This is some cool high-concept sci-fi stuff, and these are both really interesting characters. But the movie only gets one of them right. He's less V'ger, more crystalline entity. Fantastic Four: Rise of the Cobra Surfer picks up where the last one left off, with Reed and Sue preparing for their wedding and adjusting to the difficult lifestyle of being celebrity superheroes who are constantly in the eye of the media. But strange things start happening when the Silver Surfer arrives on Earth to prepare us for our demise, including his cosmic energy destabilizing the Human Torch's powers and causing him to trade powers if he makes physical contact with the other Fantastic Four members. Which is an admittedly fun gimmick. Dr. Doom arrives once again, but they very quickly figure out a way to ditch his mask because mid-2000s superhero movies can't handle the concept of characters wearing masks for longer than 2 minutes. He's pretty much the same character he was before. They don't do anything new with him except show that he is living in Latveria now. I guess I do like that they leaned off the metal skin stuff and gave him an actual suit of armor this time. And it looks pretty good, but his personality is still just not quite there. Joseph Culp, my beloved Galactus, be he cloud or big Christmas tree colored man, is not really a character you can have your typical fisticuffs with, since he's more of a philosophical antagonist. So they smartly adapted Fantastic Four issue 57 through 59 in the middle of the movie, where Doom steals the Surfer's board and powers to make himself nearly unstoppable. There's a lot more superhero activity in this movie than the first one, between fighting the Surfer, saving lives in various places throughout the world, battling the military who want to take the Surfer's power for themselves, and taking on the enhanced Dr. Doom. These aren't the punchiest movies, but the second one is a lot more exciting, because the stakes are bigger, the characters have more to do, and there are more places to go. They even have a Fantastic Car now, and do a cool chase sequence with it.
Introducing the Dodge Fantastic Car, the only car fit for the Fantastic Four. Oh, and it can fly. See it June 15th in Fantastic Four: Rise of the Silver Surfer, only in theaters.
They use the power switching gimmick to basically turn Johnny into a Super Skrull. What a step up, damn. I like his funny little thing fists when he's running up to everybody at the end after that fight. Like, it looks like he's wearing the thing foam hands that you get at the store.
It's clobbering time!
With thing feet and thing hands, all the earthquake and moon-shaking power of the thing can be yours.
I am the thing!
This movie also has my favorite Stan Lee cameo ever. In the first one, he was playing Willie Lumpkin, the Fantastic Four's mailman. But here he's just playing himself, and apparently that doesn't mean shit to this bouncer. Classic. I'm also happy to report that the team's family dynamic is finally up to snuff in this one, with them all being a lot more loving and a lot more dysfunctional.
Forget about it. I'm the best pilot here. I should try.
Are you serious?
Guys.
We're lucky if this thing can carry you.
I can fly circles around
Guys.
you blind.
Shut up! I'm driving.
Something about the vibe just feels right in this one. I think maybe it's because the cast has now been around each other so much longer across both films that their chemistry is really improved, and it was already good to begin with. But they've had a lot more time to settle into these characters, and they're just more juicy bits of family drama to work with. Reed is becoming so consumed with his work that it's having a negative impact on his relationship to Sue. Johnny is starting to feel like he's not fulfilled in his life because he doesn't have any lasting romantic partnerships like the other team members. And a major plot point is that Sue and Reed are starting to feel fatigued by the hustle and bustle of their new lifestyle and are considering retiring from their superhero career after they get married, so they can focus on starting a family, which leaves Johnny and Ben feeling left behind and uncertain about the future. These are great bits of character drama for everyone to tackle in addition to the superhero goings-ons. As a kid, I feel like I preferred the first one for whatever reason, but now I'm realizing as an adult I like this sequel way more because there's just more interesting things happening all over. Michael Chiklis as the Thing is just as good as the first film, but he takes a bit of a backseat in all the character drama because he's doing pretty okay for himself these days. He's more comfortable in his rocky, indestructible skin now. His relationship is going well, and he's just happier than he was in the first film. You know, sure, he's affected by what's going on with the rest of the team, but on his own terms, he's thriving, and it's just nice to see because he's such an instantly lovable character that you can't help but root for. There's a really great moment where they remind you that he's an astronaut by having him remark on the Silver Surfer's trail.
Well, I would say that it was a meteor, but the trail's all wrong. This thing's giving off its own energy.
And I just appreciate that they remembered he's not supposed to be just the dumb bruiser stereotype. I think they did some upgrading to his costume because he just has a more three-dimensional texture that feels more rock-like. It apparently was easier for Chiklis to wear on set for long periods than the first version. The Thing looks so good in this movie, I can't get over it. This is the best one. Goodbye, practical Ben Grimm costumes. I'll miss you, since this is the last time they'll ever even try. It's so weird revisiting these movies, knowing what's going to happen to this version of Johnny Storm. Oh, fucking bleak. The Silver Surfer is so goddamn cool in this movie. He really feels strange and mysterious and alien. He's really quiet, but Lawrence Fishburne's voice fits the character so well when he finally does speak.
Doesn't it bother you? All the worlds and innocent people you've helped destroy?
My service spares my world and the one I love.
He's always doing these bizarre and enigmatic things like floating straight through solid matter, absorbing missiles like they don't even exist, phasing through his board and defying gravity. He's just pure aura farming the whole movie, and I am captivated by how cool he is in every scene. The fact that his costume is also mostly practical, but the reflections are CGI enhancement, makes him even cooler. He just looks so real, especially in the scenes where he's lost his powers and he's not as reflective. I think it helps that the other actors have a real metallic-skinned alien guy on set to look at instead of just a purely CG character. He's portrayed in costume by favorite on this channel, the very talented Doug Jones, who you may know from all of these cool monsters and other movies and shows. I think everything about Norrin Radd in this movie is top to bottom perfect, and this is an incredible translation of that character from the comics to the film. It's just disappointing that the other important supporting characters suffered so much. I say characters plural because this movie does Alicia Masters a huge disservice. In the original storyline, she was the MVP that basically convinced the Surfer humanity was worth saving and reignited his conscience. He was severely beaten by the Thing and she helped him back on his feet while teaching him about our species and our ways. Without her, he never would have turned on Galactus and bought the human race enough time to save ourselves. She's in the movie a fair amount for the first act, but they give her role with the Surfer to Sue instead. They cut all her best scenes in the first one, then give her biggest contribution to the storyline to someone else in the sequel. I call bullshit on that. I love Kerry Washington as this character because she just has such a warm kindness that could melt ice caps. Like, she could have really been the heart of both of these movies as the down-to-earth civilian character that grounds this fantastical team, but they cut her short both times. Probably the biggest missed opportunity of both of these movies. And then yeah, Galactus is a cloud and it's sad. Here's a little Easter egg where he casts a shadow that looks like his helmet. That's all you get. We were starving back then. I guess in a vacuum, if this wasn't an adaptation of something else, the concept of a giant storm that dwarfs our planet that much would be a really scary and cool visual. As a kid, I really wanted to believe the real Galactus was just in the middle of the cloud in his spaceship ball thing, and it was generating the cloud around it as a cover or something. Advanced levels of copium. Really, this is taking yet another page from the Ultimate Universe, where they reimagined Galactus as something far less personified. In those books, Galactus is a swarm of robots that just consumes civilizations and was actually the answer to the Fermi paradox. Very Reapers from Mass Effect-ish. As much as I deservedly trash on the Ultimate Universe, I think that trilogy of comics was pretty good, and I enjoyed the story they told. I just don't think that's the route they should have gone with these movies, and it really damaged a lot of goodwill from the fans by coming across so embarrassed by the material. I could excuse not using Uatu the Watcher in this movie, despite him being such a huge part of the comic, because it's just a lot of characters to keep track of already, and the Watcher is such a crazy concept in himself that you probably don't want to overload the audience. You know, suspension of disbelief can only go so far, but doing this to Galactus is just as shameful as we've made it out to be all these years. It's a distractingly large blemish on an otherwise pretty solid movie. I like this one a lot more than I remembered, and it's definitely my favorite of the two now that I think about it, even despite how much they whiffed it on Galactus. Back then it annoyed me a lot, but I think I'm more willing to look past it today knowing that a proper Galactus would eventually happen, so I can focus more on the stuff this movie does get right. Like, it's easier for me to stomach when an adaptation does something horribly wrong if I know another one has come out since then that did it right. But as for Rise of the Silver Surfer, I think it's a big step up from the first film. But I can also see why this one was really hard for fans to swallow. I still wish that they got to make that third one, since apparently it would have featured Puppet Master and focused more on Ben and Alicia, but that's for another universe than our own. And by God, I will always be so let down that J. Michael Straczynski's Silver Surfer spin-off movie didn't happen either. I could never bring myself to say either of these are bad. I enjoy them a lot, and I think of all the potential big-budget Fantastic Four versions that could have come out, these are perfectly serviceable and skew towards the better end of mid-2000s superhero movies. However, this is going to be really controversial, but I think the origin was told better 11 years earlier. When you compare these two films as a fan of the comics and put aside the nostalgia bias for the one you grew up with, the 1994 version really shows how less can be so much more. With only 1% of the budget, they told the same story far more faithfully, and with 100 times the heart. It's not without its own set of flaws, but all the blemishes on that one give it character rather than feeling like studio meddling. A small team of people making something out of pure passion and love for the material will always leave a better impression than the shiniest, biggest studio movie money could buy. Take away all the bells and whistles, and the characters are just captured more authentically here. The villain is more compelling, and the emotions just hit a little bit harder for me. The 2005 version comes close, but falls short in ways that all that money just can't fix. You have a nearly perfect version of the team, but their villains are such a letdown. They have better effects to convey their powers, but so little opportunities to use them. They come close, but just don't quite make their mark. The sequel comes even closer, but still not there yet. Maybe a third one would have finally nailed it, but that's asking for a lot of second chances when, for this amount of money and effort, they should have gotten this stuff right the first time.
Let's go home.
Let's hope we have a home to go to.
It's kind of weird revisiting these now of all time, since Rise of the Silver Surfer is essentially being remade this month. It's a bummer that Nor and Rad won't be used again, and they're going a different route for the new one. It's Shalabal or whatever. She's not like that big of a character in the comics, but alright, whatever. I have a feeling they just didn't want to draw as many direct comparisons to Rise of the Silver Surfer since he is so central to this one, and using a different character in his place as the Herald of Galactus puts the focus back on the FF and Galactus. Personally, I wouldn't start with the Galactus storyline since it's so hard to raise the stakes after him if you're doing a trilogy, but I'm open to seeing what they do. I wonder if the plot will be them failing to stop Galactus and being forced to flee to the MCU because their version of Earth was eaten. That way they won't be in any hurry to go home anymore. It'd be ballsy to do something that dark, but it would be a great way to distinguish that version of the story from the 2007 movie. I love the art direction, the costumes, casting, and marketing they've put forward so far for First Steps, and I'm really hoping it lives up to expectations. A lot of people had this kind of, "I told you so, bet you feel dumb now" kind of reaction to my more cynical projections about MCU's Fantastic Four. But what they don't understand is that I want to be wrong about these kinds of things. I want them to make good movies based on my favorite stories and characters. I don't want them to make low-quality, low-effort, obnoxious garbage. It's a good thing that this movie looks so good. I'm happy about this. I mean, I hope it's as awesome as it looks. That being said, I still think Marvel has some amends to make regarding Fantastic Four to clear the air. I know they probably won't do it right now to avoid brand confusion with the new film, but they absolutely should release Fantastic Four 1994 at some point, and you should push them to do it by signing the official petition created by the cast and crew of the film with my help. They're huge, dedicated fans and very talented people who are put in a terrible position by the corporate side of Hollywood, and I want this injustice corrected. I want their movie to be viewable through official means, and I want their hard work recognized. No more of this dumbass narrative, "Oh, it was so bad it was never released." That is perpetuated by people who don't know what they're talking about. That is not and has not ever been the reason. That's propaganda you've been fed so you wouldn't go looking deeper into the sins of Constantine films. It was never released to satisfy the desires of frauds and business suits who don't give a damn about the people they step on to make a profit. And 30 years later, it's time we take this movie back. Sign the petition and do right by the original Fantastic Four. Lord knows they've done right by me. They're good people, and I want so badly to help them get a happy ending to this whole mess. But we'll hear a little bit more on that soon. Be on the lookout for that follow-up video where I reunite the very first live-action Doctor Doom with his...
And... oh my god.
I always get mad at YouTube for not putting my videos in the subscription box because people will comment, "Finally, Xavier uploads again after all these years," not knowing 3 other videos came out within the last month already. So maybe that stupid bell icon thing will help you remember I exist. If you want other ways to support the channel, you can always go hit up that Patreon for early videos and exclusive stuff because it's just $1. I'm not kidding, it's only $1. Isn't that cool? If just 5% of the people subscribed to me donated only $1 a month, I could make videos even faster and keep my house. You can also check out our merch on TeePublic, or just buy some of my random stuff on eBay. I have a pretty substantial collection of old toys that are still in the box in perfect condition, so go take a look in case you find something you like. And lastly, since this is a YouTube video and you probably play Fortnite, drop my creator code XavierGM next time you buy a silly dance or a cool character skin. Really helps me out. See you next time.